How my mom confronted the dark truth about me at 3 a.m. Unspoken secrets revealed. It was 3 a.m. when the world felt heavy and thick, like the air before a thunderstorm. The house was wrapped in silence, save for the creaky floorboards and a distant clock ticking ominously, counting down to an unknown catastrophe. Emily lay in her bed, heart racing as shadows danced along the walls, whispering secrets only she could hear. Her skin prickled with the sensation of being watched, as if the dark corners of her room held eyes, waiting, wanting, hungry for the truth that throbbed in her chest like a sacred secret not meant to be revealed. Not long ago, Emily thought life was normal. A typical 16-year-old with friends and homework and dreams. But that night, a night shrouded in the eerie kind of stillness that eats away at calmness, everything shifted. She had stumbled upon something buried deep in the depths of her mother's closet. A dusty box filled with old letters and photos that hinted at stories untold. Histories that twisted together in unsettling patterns. Classes turned into monotonous cycles of uneventful routine. But her life began to unravel like yarn caught on a nail. Her mom's eyes, once warm and inviting, seemed different now. The way they darted away whenever the box was mentioned, there was raw fear in them. A flicker of a truth that could shatter their fragile little world. Emily felt like a detective, piecing together cracks of memories and half-whispered words. Then came the dreams, vivid and haunting. A shadowed figure standing in the hallway, whispers echoing, entwining her name like a perverse lullaby. Each night drove her deeper into the rabbit hole, and the weight of what she knew almost crushed her spirit. Then, like a bolt of lightning striking an unsuspecting tree, everything clicked into place. At that witching hour of 3 a.m., she overheard her mom in a hushed conversation, a frantic tone curled around every word, a mix of desperation and dread. "I can't let her find out, not now." Emily's heart thudded painfully in her chest. Who was she? What dark truth had her mother hidden, and why? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The tension crackled in the air as Emily tiptoed closer, every step filled with a heavy weight. She held her breath, straining to catch the muffled words that felt like daggers in the night. Please don't let her remember. How could a mother wish for her child to forget? What darkness loomed in their past, and could Emily face it? The questions clawed at her, raw and aching, as she willed her body to move. With trembling hands, she pushed the door open just a crack. What would she find? What secrets were about to break free into the light? The truth beckoned her forward, and there was no turning back now. The crack in the door widened, and Emily's pulse quickened. The dim light from the living room spilled into the hallway, illuminating a silhouette that sent chills racing up her spine. Her mother paced back and forth, the phone pressed tightly to her ear. The words spilling out were frantic, jagged like broken glass. "I can't lose her. You don't understand what's at stake." There was a pause, a heavy exhale, and she continued, "I thought I could protect her from it, but now it's too late." Emily's heart thudded wildly. Whatever was lurking in the shadows of her family history was desperate to claw its way into the light. The intensity of her mother's voice gripped Emily, an almost physical force urging her to retreat, yet her curiosity anchored her in place. Each word was a thread in the tapestry of dark secrets weaving around her. Then the conversation took a terrifying turn. "You need to do it before she remembers. Call the doctor. Do whatever you have to do. Just make sure she forgets." Every syllable was a punch to Emily's gut. Forget what? What could be so horrifying that her mother would even contemplate such measures? The thought clawed at her mind like a predator seeking to consume her reason. Just then, Emily's phone buzzed violently, shattering the silence like glass dropping to the floor. She jumped, her heart racing as she glanced at the screen. It was a text from her best friend Mia, asking if she was okay. She hesitated, torn between the real world and the dark, uncharted territory of her family's past. The messages could wait. This moment was more critical. With a deep breath, Emily eased the door fully open, stepping into the patch of light spilling from the living room. The floor creaked beneath her feet, but she couldn't retreat now. She was too close to the truth. "Mom," Emily called, her voice echoing through the tense silence like thunder after a storm. Her mother whipped around, eyes wide, panic washing over her face. "Emily, what are you doing up? You should be in bed." The normalcy of her mother's tone clashed violently with the wild fear still lingering in the air. "I heard you. I want to know what you were talking about." For a moment her mother faltered. The fear that had flickered in her eyes before morphed into something else: horror, vulnerability, maybe even regret. "Sweetheart, it's nothing," she started, but the urgency in Emily's voice cut her off. "No, it's not nothing. You were scared and you think I should forget something. What's going on?" Her mother stepped closer, eyes pleading, desperate to shield Emily from something deep and dark. "Emily, please just go back to bed. You don't understand." But Emily wasn't backing down. The time for running was over. "Then make me understand. I deserve to know what's happening." The tension crackled sharply between them like static electricity, the kind that builds up before a storm breaks. For a heartbeat they stood locked in a war of wills, mother and daughter, each guarded against the other's truth. Then from somewhere in the house an unsettling noise, a low rasping sound that echoed ominously. Emily's breath hitched, and for a fleeting second, she wondered if the shadows were coming alive. "Mom, what was that?" Her mother's face went pale, the color draining as if she had seen a ghost. "No, it can't be." Emily's heart raced with primal fear. What had she just awakened? What had she unknowingly stepped into? "Mom," she urged, but the room felt charged and electric, as if it were alive, and the truth hovered just out of reach, waiting to pounce. "Trust me," her mother whispered. "You don't want to know." But she had to know. As dread curled its fingers around her neck, the night loomed heavy, and the shadows shifted closer, darkness hungry for secrets. What didn't she want her to remember? The answer felt closer than ever, and as she stepped even further into the living room, she could almost taste the truth looming on the edge. But would it liberate her? Or plunge her into a darkness she might not escape? Emily's pulse drummed in her ears, drowning out the eerie sounds that crept from the shadows of the house. She squared her shoulders, determination hardening her resolve. "Mom," she breathed, desperation edging her voice. "What is happening? We can face it together." Her mother's gaze darted behind her, fear flickering in her eyes like a flame threatened by a breeze. "This isn't just your life we're talking about. So much more." Before Emily could reply, the rasping sound slithered through the air again, louder, closer. It was a sound that whispered of nightmares and ancient evils. "Please, Emily. Just go back to bed. I can't protect you if you push." Panic surged through Emily, hot and frantic. Protect me from what? Without waiting for an answer, she moved a step closer, instinctually positioning herself between her mother and the growing darkness. An echo of soft laughter, a sickly sweet cadaver of sound, bounced around the living room, chilling her soul. "Do you hear that?" Emily asked, eyes wide. "Is it in the house?" Her mother's lips tightened, her final shield crumbling. "It's not the house," she hissed, the urgency spilling into her voice. "It's us. It's our family." The realization rocked Emily. "What do you mean? What did we do?" Her mother took a shaky breath, voice hitching like a broken machine. "Years ago we made choices, your father and I, choices to keep you safe. But the past is waking up, and you might not like what it wants from you." Emily felt a swell of anger and confusion. "I don't care. Whatever it is, we'll handle it. Just tell me." The silence that followed was suffocating. Her mother's eyes shimmered with tears, and finally the dam broke. "We thought we could erase you. But ignoring it only made it stronger." "What are you saying? What did you erase?" With each question, Emily's voice grew steadier, a growing pulse of defiance. She refused to cower in the dark. The truth begged to be uncovered. A sudden crash startled them both. A door slammed somewhere deep in the house, reverberating through their hearts like a death knell. Emily bolted upright. "What was that?" "Mom, please." "No," her mother shouted, a feral edge in her tone. "Stay back. It's here. It's already here." Emily stepped back, the fear crashing over her like icy water. The shadows in the room coalesced, rippling with unseen energy, tying her nerves into knots. Something is alive, she whispered, shards of terror piercing through her lungs. Remember what I said about forgetting? This is what I meant. Her mother pleaded, a quiver threading her voice. You can't remember. We have to hide. Hide from what? Emily shrieked, the walls of her mind closing in. You can't keep me in the dark. Light flickered in the hallway, casting long fingers of shadow that knotted together like an enemy's hand reaching for them. Suddenly, from somewhere beyond the light, came a voice low and gravelly, echoing off the walls. Emily, her name slithered through the air, wrapping around her throat. It was a sound both familiar and alien, and it sent chills blossoming down her spine. Emily's eyes shot back to her mother, searching for reasons, answers. Terminology like truth and secrets floated through her mind, stirring a tempest of realization. I need to remember, Emily said, though she fluctuated between bravery and dread. I can't be afraid of my past. Emily, don't. Her mother reached for her hand, but the pull of something greater held Emily in place, anchoring her to this moment. As the shadows danced, Emily took a step forward, confronting the weight of her family's hidden past, poised between the known and the unknown, the terrible and the necessary. A deafening silence fell, tension pinching the air tight. What did you forget, Emily? That voice called again, teasing, like a riddle that invited danger. I'll find out, she whispered, defiance surging. But what lay beyond that threshold? The room darkened abruptly, an intensity that felt like it could swallow her whole. Shadows writhed, growing ever more restless. She could feel the weight of unseen eyes, a pressure building. Within the walls, suddenly footsteps echoed behind her, urgent, desperate footsteps. Emily! Her mother cried again, terror lining her features. Don't open that door. But it was already too late. As Emily reached for the knob, her fingertips brushed against the cold metal. The next moment would change everything. Would she find answers or unleash a horror that could haunt her forever? The house around her held its breath, and so did the truth. The doorknob felt like ice in Emily's hand. Just before she twisted it, a shudder ran through the entire house, as if something deep below was awakening. Her heart raced, beating fast enough that she thought it might crack her ribcage. Emily, don't you dare! Her mother's voice sliced through the thickening air, a desperate plea laced with raw fear. It snapped Emily back to the moment, but the temptation to uncover the truth tugged at her with powerful, ghostly fingers. With a fierce tug, she twisted the knob, feeling the mechanical click echo like a gunshot. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit hallway shrouded in thick shadows. And in that moment the air changed, charged with something dark and ancient. Pressing against her chest, a chill ran down her spine, and she hesitated, her breath hitching. The walls felt alive, pulsating with secrets. The whispers grew louder, wrapping around her mind like a vice. Emily, the voice was seductive, coaxing her deeper into the unknown. She took a step inside and froze. Her eyes landed on an old, dusty family portrait hanging crooked on the wall, her parents young, radiant, full of life, but it was the dark figure looming behind them that caught her breath. Its eyes gleamed like twin black holes, hollow and hungry. Come on, Emily. Remember, the gravelly voice curled around her, tightening its grip. It felt like a storm brewing, a tempest clawing at her sanity. Stay back! Her mother shouted, lunging forward, panic radiating from her. The door jerked in its frame as if trying to close itself, but Emily pushed against it, feeling a surge of determination. I won't hide any longer. Someone has to fight, she replied, her voice sharper than glass. The shadows flickered, recoiling, and for a second, Emily felt a rush of strength, an undeniable sense of power rising within her. But the moment shattered like fragile glass, as her mother's shaking hands took hold of her arm. You don't understand. Those memories, the repressed truths, they come at a cost. A terrible, heavy price. Emily's chest tightened as anger clashed with desperation. I want to understand. I deserve to know. Just as a vibrant image of her childhood flooded her mind, a pulse echoed from within the walls, a surge of energy that sent them both staggering back. The ground beneath their feet rumbled, and the shadows writhed with newfound fury. Stop! The force of her mother's plea pushed against Emily, but it only ignited her resolve further. This is so much bigger than you could ever imagine, her mother cried, standing firm in the chaos. Then the figure stepped into the light, an unsettling presence that glided forth with an elegance that seemed unnatural. Its eyes caught Emily's, and she felt a visceral pull, a deep twisted connection that sent her stomach churning. Your mother's secrets 1T protect you here, Emily. It hissed, voice layered with a melodic distortion that charmed and terrified. You are part of a history she cannot escape, and neither can you. Emily shook her head, feeling her own truth fight back against the tide of fear. I am my own person. I can't be a prisoner of your past. That remains to be seen. The figure's lips twisted into a smile that didn't belong on a human face. She took a brave step forward. No more running. An explosion of sound shook the house as the walls shuddered in response. A cacophony of voices screamed in an unintelligible frenzy, drowning out Emily's thoughts. The shadows clawed at her, darkness seeping closer. But then just as quickly the noise faded. Silence blanketed her like a shroud as everything stopped. The figure stood still, waiting like a predator biding its time. Unlock the door to the past, and you shall see what was taken from you, it murmured softly, the echoes wrapping around her like a serpent poised to strike. Tension thrummed in the air as Emily's heart thundered in her chest. The room hovered in a suspended moment, a crossroads, and with it came a realization. The truth was out there, but what if it was too much to bear? Emily's hand trembled as she forged ahead. She would either find the strength to face what the past demanded or be consumed by the very shadows that sought to claim her. But just as her resolve sharpened, the house groaned, walls creaking ominously while the light flickered like a dying flame. Would she embrace the truth or be swallowed by the darkness she sought to escape? The answer was waiting just beyond the shadows. The shadows around Emily thickened, curling and twisting like dark smoke, as if trying to ensnare her. She could feel her mother's grip tightening, pulling at her arm, but the pull of the figure in front of her was magnetic. Every instinct screamed at her to back away, yet a primal force pushed her forward. Do you really think you can challenge me? The figure whispered, its voice smooth and cruel as it shifted closer. The air felt so heavy that it pressed against her like a wall, and the portrait on the wall seemed to tremble as if it were part of the ground beneath them. In her mind, flashes of laughter, joy, and innocence flickered, but they were tainted, shadowed by a truth far more sinister. Emily, listen to me. Her mother's voice broke through the chaos, desperation etched into her features. You can't trust it. You have no idea what you could awaken. But the words felt hazy, swallowed by the dark lure of the figure. Awaken what? Emily demanded, her voice cracking, but there was a fire in her blue eyes that defied the fear. Who are you? What do you want from me? The figure elongated, stretching as if soaking in her fear. I want only to reveal what lies hidden beneath your memories. What your mother has kept locked away, what she fears just as much as you do. Stop! Her mother shouted, her voice a knife slicing through the tension. You don't know what you're asking for. But Emily wasn't listening anymore. Her pulse roared in her ears as she remembered her childhood dreams turned into nightmares, secrets whispered in the dark, shadows that danced in her periphery. All the time she felt like she was being watched. What truth is worth this fear? What happened? A cruel smile stretched across the figure's face, its dark aura swirling. They took something from you, dear Emily. The past is not just a memory. It's a vessel of pain buried deep. A vessel that cracked when you opened this door. Stop. I can't. Her mother's protest faltered as the ground quaked, and an otherworldly chill swept through the air, bringing with it a whisper of the truth. Emily felt a pull in her chest so powerful it felt like a weight being lifted, but it was also a tether, connecting her to the thing behind her mother. Show me. She screamed into the void. Show me what you took. The figure paused, moments stretching like taffy, then nodded slowly, relishing her eagerness. Very well, the darkness will uncover the light. Remember, Emily, curiosity has a price. The walls began to shift, warping and expanding as if the fabric of reality was fraying. Suddenly, images erupted around her, scenes from a life she both recognized and didn't. A table set for a family dinner, laughter filling the air, then shifting to a room drenched in shadow, muffled screams echoing, the face of a small child, her face twisted in terror. No, that's not. Emily shook her head furiously, tears springing to her eyes. It can't be. Face it. The figure commanded, its voice a thunderstorm. This was never just your choice. This shadow is a part of you, a wound that never healed. And then the weight of revelation crashed down on her like a tidal wave. The truth rushed forward with jagged edges, exposing raw wounds that had long been buried in her mind. Flashes of her parents' arguments, secrets exchanged in hushed tones, betrayal darkening what was once love. "Emily, let go. You can't handle this," her mom screamed, panic flooding her voice. The ground shook again. The house seemed to scream, ancient wood groaning under the weight of a truth that threatened to dismantle everything. But Emily's resolve hardened. "I have to know," she shouted, even as the air became thick with dread, shadows swirling in fury. "Whatever it takes." A bellow of laughter erupted from the figure, and then everything went dark. Darkness enveloped her like a suffocating blanket, pulling her down into the depths of her own past. There was no turning back, and then, abruptly, the void broke, pulling Emily into a memory she never wanted to see again: a little girl, a flickering candle, and the telling shadows of long-buried truths unveiling like the petals of a deadly flower. Would she have the strength to confront the horror? Or would the darkness finally claim her completely? In that moment of potential unraveling, a new flicker of hope danced at the edge of her vision, and she seized onto it, pulling herself closer to what the past had to offer: relentless, terrifying, yet undeniably hers to confront. What would emerge from the depths of that darkness would define her forever. The darkness peeled away like a faded curtain, revealing flickering images in a room veiled in shadows. Emily stood at the heart of it, her small hands reaching for a flickering candle on a table. It illuminated a fragmented world, fragments of her childhood, that splintered and danced away when she least expected it. "Emily," a haunting whisper echoed, familiar yet foreign. It chilled her, wrapping around her like cold fog. "Are you ready to see?" "What is this?" she gasped, the air thick with the scent of burnt wax and rusted dreams. Her heart raced as she recognized the surroundings. Her old playroom, cluttered with forgotten toys and echoes of laughter long buried. But this was no joyful homecoming. The shadows stirred, forming darker shapes, twisting into memories that reeked of despair. A glimpse of her mother, a smile painted on her face, yet her eyes cried silent sorrow. A flash of her father, anger etched sharply in his brow as he yelled muffled through the walls. "Stop!" Emily shouted, pain seeping into her voice. "Show me something else." "No hiding now," the figure echoed, looming behind her like an ominous cloud. "You asked for the truth, and here it is." As the candle flickered, images shifted. Emily gasped as she watched her younger self sit in front of the mirror, painting a perfect smile over her face. But in the corner of her eye, she noticed a different girl, a shadow in the corner, dark and sad, her face buried in her knees, whispering complaints against the backdrop of laughter. "Who is that?" Emily's voice trembled, barely audible over the crackling tension. "Your other half," the figure replied, its voice dripping with mockery. "The one you ignore while chasing light. She is your reality, Emily. She knows the secrets you wish to keep buried." "No, that's not me," Emily shouted, shaking, her breaths turning shallow. But the evidence was piled high. The little girl turned to face her, eyes glistening with tears that shimmered like shards of glass. "Help me," the shadowy figure's voice echoed from her past, pleading, trapped between waves of memories and regret. "No." Emily felt her heart stutter. "I can't face this." "Yes, you can," urged her mother's voice, cutting through the darkness, desperation palpable. "Emily, she needs you. We all do." The rumble of chaos intensified as the walls threatened to collapse around her. Shadow figures began creeping closer, their faces merging into a grotesque reflection of her fears and failures, closing in on her. Suddenly, that flicker of hope erupted from the depths of her heart. Emily grounded herself, fists clenched. "I can do this. I won't run anymore." With that, she turned toward the shadow of the little girl. "I'm here. What do you need?" The figure hesitated, light gleaming in its mournful gaze. "You've hidden me in the dark, but I carry the truth." A shudder ran through Emily, her body pulling tighter as she anticipated the revelation. What truth could she possibly carry that was worth this weight? "What truth? What do you want from me?" The room crumbled, reality splintering away like glass. A final whisper, soft yet commanding, filled her ears. "Trust me. Face the darkness within you, Emily. It's the only way to break free." And just like that, the room spun into a whirlwind of chaos, dragging her deeper into a vortex of fractured memories. Emily's heart raced, the shadows twisting around her, both a comfort and a curse. What happens when I confront it? She cried, but the swirling darkness swallowed her question whole, leaving an unsettling silence as the world faded. A sudden clarity ignited in her heart, a fire amidst the shadows. She prepared herself, knowing this was more than a confrontation. It was a reckoning with everything she had ever hidden, and just before the darkness closed in again, Emily felt a surge of resolve. The shadows had played their game, but now it was her turn to play back. Who would she become in the battle for her own soul? Would she find the courage to embrace her forgotten truth? Or would the shadows write her fate for her? The whirlwind of chaos dragged Emily deeper into an abyss of swirling recollections, each moment cutting like a shard of ice against her skin. The shadows lunged, smothering her senses, pressing in on her as fear coiled tighter around her heart. She gasped, and in that moment of desperation, she felt a warmth flicker inside her, a lantern fighting against the dark. "Trust me." The shadow echoed again, and Emily felt an electric pull, compelling her to step toward it. Anxiety coursed through her veins, but she pushed it down, focusing instead on that small flame of courage sparking inside her. "I need to know the truth," she whispered, her voice steadying. The weight of the words hung thick in the air, resonating against the void. The darkness shifted, swirling like a storm about to reveal its hidden eye. The figure of the little girl stepped forward, her form coalescing from the shadows. The air grew colder, cutting through Emily's resolve. But she stood firm, gripping tightly onto the strands of courage wrapping around her heart. "Who?" Emily began, her throat tightening around the question. "Who are you really?" In an instant the shadows parted as the girl's face emerged, soft and familiar yet marred by an overwhelming sadness. "I am everything you hide, Emily. Every tear you've cried alone. Every moment you wish to forget. I am the pain that you bury deep inside." Emily felt the surge of emotion flood through her, grief, loss, and layers of shame she had tried to forget. "But I can't bear it," she protested, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Why can't you be free without me?" "Because, dear Emily," the girl replied, voice like a soft breeze, "true freedom comes from understanding. You must face me to reclaim yourself." The shadows tightened around them, angry and restless. Faces flickered across the walls, taunting, jeering, their laughter a thunderous wave crashing into her resolve. Emily closed her eyes, struggling against the trepidation clawing at her heart. Yet amidst the fear, that flicker of hope blazed brighter. "I can't fight you alone," she murmured, the admission tasting bitter on her tongue. "Then you won't have to," the girl insisted, the light within her beginning to glow, illuminating the darkness inching closer. "Face them with me." Together they stepped into the light, and for the first time, Emily felt the warmth of acceptance envelop her. The shadows recoiled, writhing in agony as if the brightness scorched their essence. But the sound of their growls echoed relentless. "Do you see?" the girl asked, eyes glimmering with renewed strength. "This battle is not yours to fight alone. These shadows are not just your fears, they are fragments of your life. Allow them to speak." "Speak?" Emily echoed, realization dawning. "You mean to listen to them?" "Yes," the girl affirmed, stepping closer, a hand reaching out. "Every scream, every regret, it is part of you. Listen, and it will not consume you." A strange sensation took hold of Emily, a mixture of dread and exhilarating anticipation. Could it be that confronting her shadows was the key? An army of whispers echoed in her mind, each one a story waiting to be acknowledged, a secret entwined with her identity. The shadows shifted, their cries morphing into pleading calls. She could almost hear fragments of her past, haunting yet familiar. Emily stood tall, heart racing, as she focused on the loudest ones. "Tell me," she commanded, her voice firm but laced with vulnerability. A heavy silence blanketed the space, thickening the air with tension. She felt the darkness stir again, a collective breath waiting to exhale the burdens. Suddenly, a flash of truth pierced through each shadowed figure. Each haunting memory froze in time, balanced on the precipice of liberation or annihilation. Emily could feel them drawing closer, an ocean of emotions surging around her, and with it, the promise of hidden truths swirling on the brink of revelation. "Here it comes," she gasped, bracing herself, knowing she was racing towards something monumental. Would embracing the darkness finally let her heal, or would it shatter her? As the stillness cracked, a voice broke free from the shadows, echoing and rumbling like thunder. You have no idea what you're about to uncover, and with that, the turmoil of her forgotten past surged forward, ready to reveal everything she had fought so hard to hide. The shadows convulsed, twisting in a frenetic dance that sought to pull Emily deeper into their unforgiving embrace. As her heart pounded, the air crackled with unspoken tension. Faces in the dark flickered, their eyes filled with desperate longing, like trapped souls begging for release. Suddenly, the girl's hand reached out for Emily. Fear trembled through her, but she felt the warmth radiating from the little figure and she took it. "What are they saying?" Emily asked, voice barely above a whisper. "They are your truths, Emily. Each one longs to be acknowledged," the girl said, urgency threading her words. "Focus, let them spill." Emily squeezed her eyes shut, and the cacophony of whispers suddenly transformed into a chorus, an overwhelming tide pushing against her. One voice stood out among the rest. It was familiar, cutting through the fog of doubt. "You think you can just forget? You think hiding will save you?" The words wrapped around her, tightening their grip like chains. It was her own voice filled with bitterness. Desperation clawed at her throat. As the girl urged her to listen, Emily cracked open her eyes, letting the shadows play on the edges of her vision. "Who are you?" she cried out, purpose igniting within her. "What do you want?" The shadows shifted, the face of a man emerging, eyes hollow and searching. "You are running, Emily. Always running. From me, from the truth." A rawness gripped her heart. It was her father, the laughter, the tenderness now replaced with sorrowful reminiscence. "But I was just a kid," she shouted, the anger surging with every breath. "Exactly," the figure replied, voice heavy with regret. "But those moments shaped you. You can't erase them no matter how hard you try." Emily felt her resolve waning. The truth was too heavy, suffocating. "I can't face it all," she screamed, tears cascading down her cheeks. The memories flooded in. The arguments, the bruises, the loss. Shadows clutched at her mind like grasping hands, threatening to pull her under. "Face them, Emily," the girl urged. "If you don't embrace the light, darkness will consume you." The weight of anguish began to stir within her, unraveling the tightly wound knots of her heart. A soft glow emerged, the girl's light intensified, illuminating the reluctant faces of her past, now swirling and twisting like a tempest. "Do you see? They are afraid too. They want peace just as much as you do." Desperation turned into determination. Emily opened her heart, allowing the memories to wash over her. "I'm sorry," she whispered, addressing each face. "I never meant for this to happen. I was scared, I felt so alone." The echoes softened, morphing into echoes of understanding and forgiveness. The shadows slowed, no longer angry but trembling. "That's it, Emily. Tell them how you feel. Let go. It's the only way you'll find relief," the girl prompted, stepping closer, rainbows of light spilling between them. Suddenly, an oppressive silence enveloped the space, shocking Emily into stillness. The darkness shifted, revealing a path filled with swirling colors like pathways of hope. But at its end loomed a figure fearsome, larger than life. The shadows recoiled. Emily's breath caught in her throat. "Who are you?" she gasped as the weight of foreboding pulled at her. The figure stood tall, shrouded in darkness, a twisted amalgamation of all her pain. "I am your deepest fear, Emily. I am your regret, your guilt, your shame." A shiver raced down her spine, fear running wild within. "No, I won't let you win," she shouted, strength surging through her again. "Then come, face me, and see if you're brave enough to confront the truth," the figure taunted, the challenge hanging in the air like a thick fog. With a surge of resolve, Emily felt the weight of shadows pushing against her back, urging her onward. She could feel the girl beside her unwavering. The warmth wrapped around her like a protective cocoon. Would she have the courage to face this grotesque reflection of her deepest worries? A glimmer of hope flicked into existence, a flame flickering against the gale of despair. "Together we will," Emily shouted defiantly, stepping forward into the darkness, ready to confront everything she had spent her life avoiding. But as she neared, the shadows roared, threatening to swallow her whole. "You think you can defeat me? Prepare yourself for the ultimate revelation." The air trembled with seriousness as the figure loomed closer. Emily's heart raced. Would she uncover the truth about herself or lose everything in the process? The figure drew closer, its immense shadow stretching like a dark hand reaching for her. Emily felt a cold sweat trickle down her back, her resolve wavering as she searched for strength. Everything within her screamed to retreat, but she pressed on, fueled by a desperate need to break free from the grip of her past. "You think you know me?" the figure bellowed, its voice reverberating through the void. "You don't know anything." Not yet. With each step, Emily could feel the wave of despair crashing against her like a storm. Memories surged in her mind. Sleepless nights filled with guilt, the hollow expressions of those she had hurt, and the echoes of laughter tainted by sorrow. A lump formed in her throat as the reality of her choices settled in, suffocating her like the very shadows that surrounded her. Suddenly, the girl's voice cut through the darkness, piercing the heaviness like a sliver of light. "Emily, remember. Their pain is yours too, but acknowledging it is the key to setting yourself free. You must stand firm." Emily's heart raced as she focused on the girl. The warmth of her presence felt like a spark in the depths of her cold existence. "You're right," Emily whispered, a flicker of determination igniting within her. "I can't keep running. I must face it all." The figure loomed larger, its presence both repulsive and magnetic, drawing her closer. "You think you can handle the truth? You think acceptance will erase the scars?" "Yes," she shouted, her voice rising above the shadows. "I'm tired of the fear defining me. No more hiding." The shadows quaked in response, a turbulence swirling around her. Emily took another step, bracing herself against the onslaught of memories flooding her senses. Each fragment felt like a blade cutting through her defenses. She could hear the faint whispers of her loved ones once more, echoing painfully in her mind. The laughter, the arguments, the heartache. It hit her like a tidal wave. "Your truth is ugly. You weren't the innocent little girl you pretend to be." The figure growled, and the shadows seemed to close in tighter. "You inflicted pain. And it still haunts you. You didn't defend them when they needed it most." "Stop!" Emily screamed, hands clutching her head, fighting against the overwhelming tide. "I was young. I didn't know, but that doesn't mean I can't change. I want to make things right." The dark figure paused, the palpable moment of silence stretching out between them, filled with electric tension. "Change? Can you truly face the consequences of your actions? Are you ready to feel the weight of remorse?" "Yes." The fire in her spirit flared bright and alive. "I will own my mistakes. I'll embrace the hurt until it doesn't control me anymore." As the depths of her resolve collided with the massive entity, an unexpected quake resonated through the air. The shadows writhed, and the figure began to splinter, cracks forming in its seemingly impenetrable form. Each piece of the dark facade peeled away, flickering faster than her heart could race. "Very well," it hissed, its voice slowing, transforming into a chorus of voices, some familiar, some distant. "Step forward then, and unveil your past." Emily inhaled deeply, grounding herself in the moment. Pushing past the last remnants of fear, she took a bold step forward, reaching to the heart of darkness that had shackled her. Whatever lay ahead, she could not turn back now. But as she crossed the threshold, a blinding light surged forth, silhouetting the figure one last time. "Prepare yourself, Emily. The truth is rarely what it seems." A crash echoed, and the world around her spun, enveloping her in a maelstrom of sound and fury. Dread pooled in her stomach as the darkness began to fade, replaced by a flickering glimmer of something unknown. What awaited her in the light? Would the truth finally bring her the peace she sought, or would it crumble under the weight of her guilt? The light swallowed Emily whole, a warmth that felt foreign and familiar all at once. In an instant, she was standing in the middle of a sunlit garden, the vibrant colors around her bursting with life, the kind of beauty that felt surreal, almost impossible. She was barefoot on the soft grass, surrounded by laughter, a memory entwined with the essence of forgiveness and loss. Her heart raced as she recognized the faces, friends from her childhood, each one smiling, unaware of the shadow that loomed behind them. "Remember this, Emily?" whispered the little girl, her voice soft and inviting. "This is where it all started." Emily's breath caught in her throat. Do I have to face it?" she asked, anxiety scratching at her resolve. "Yes," the little girl replied, taking a step closer. "We need to." As if compelled by an unseen force, Emily stepped forward, her gaze fixed on her younger self, a joyful girl playing in the sun, hair wild with the wind, laughter like music floating through the air. But lurking just behind that innocence was a deeper truth, one that began to unfurl with every step. As she drifted closer, she glimpsed the memories she had tried to bury, a home filled with loving moments but shadowed by painful secrets. Suddenly the laughter faded, replaced by the weight of memories twisted in pain. Flashes of her father, rage etched into his features, moments of her mother crying, shadows of neglect and fear wrapped tightly around her heart. Emily felt the crushing weight of regret. Tears fell hot and fierce, as she realized the scars weren't just hers. They belonged to the family she had tried to forget. Emily, the little girl, encouraged softly, "Feel it. This is your truth. Embrace it and let it go." The ground beneath her trembled, and visions flooded her mind, the fierce arguments that consumed her parents, the tension that suffocated laughter, and the moments of loneliness that wounded her spirit. The darkness of her family's history surged forward. But as it did, Emily felt a flicker of light breaking through, a reminder of love buried beneath the hurt. "Mom! Dad!" she cried, but the echoes of her voice bounced through the empty air. A haunting call. "I am here. I can't change the past, but I need to accept it." As she spoke the words, the sun brightened, illuminating the shadows twisting at the corners of the garden, turning pain into clarity. She saw flashes of her mother's strength, the way she fought for them even in silence. The figure of her father shifted, revealing layers of grief that weighed upon his soul. "You thought you could forget me, Emily," he muttered. But there was no hostility, only sorrow. "I didn't want to be like you," she exclaimed, pain lacing her voice. "And yet you are," he continued, sadness clouding his face. "But you can choose the path ahead. Don't let my mistakes define you." Suddenly the air shimmered, and before her eyes, the shadows began to dissolve like mist under the sun. Emily took a deep breath, summoning all the courage she had amassed. "I forgive you," she whispered to the fading figures, embracing the warmth of release. The little girl clapped her hands together, her laughter bright. "Yes, let it go. It's time to live." With that, Emily surged forward, feeling the collective burden lighten with each step she took into the blinding glow. The garden blossomed around her, new flowers blooming where darkness had once suffocated hope. "You are free," the little girl said happily, her form merging into the light. "You see? You are never alone." As Emily stood there, a profound weight lifted off her shoulders. She felt radiant, full of possibilities and futures. This was not the end, this was rebirth. "I will remember," she vowed, already sensing the stir of new beginnings along the edges of her heart. In every joy, in every pain, in every breath. She turned back one last time to the memory garden, a smile breaking through her tears. "I will be stronger." And with that, she stepped beyond the veil of memory into a new dawn at last, grounded in the authentic essence of who she was. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Don't wait even one more second to subscribe. You need to be part of our community for upcoming exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and keep the exhilarating tales coming. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Share how Emily's journey resonated with you. And remember to instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support is vital. Don't miss out on the adventure ahead.